Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Code Your English. I am happy you are here with me today. Thank you for giving your time and your energy to learn, grow, and improve your English. I hope you are comfortable, relaxed, and ready for another useful episode. Today's topic is something many people feel, but they do not always talk about it. It is a feeling that stops us, slows us down, and keeps us afraid to try new things. That feeling is fear, and you are not alone if you feel it too. Let me ask you a simple question before we begin. How many times did fear stop you from doing something important? Maybe you wanted to speak English, but fear held you back. Maybe you wanted to try a new job, talk to someone new, or start a new project. But fear whispered in your ear, "Don't do it." Fear is powerful, and it talks loudly in our minds. But here is the surprising part. Fear often feels bigger than it really is. Many times, the fear inside us is worse than the real situation outside. In this episode, we will talk about something very important and very practical. Today, we will learn how to replace fear with action. This means that instead of waiting, worrying, or thinking too much, we will learn how to take small steps, simple steps, and brave steps that help us move forward. Fear does not disappear by thinking. Fear becomes smaller when we do something. Action is the tool, the key, and the solution. So in this episode, I will share simple ideas, easy examples, and small exercises that you can use today. You do not need special skills. You do not need perfect English. You only need an open mind and a willingness to try. I promise to keep everything clear, simple, and slow, so you can listen, understand, and even repeat after me if you want. This podcast is not just about learning English. It is also about learning how to live with more courage, more confidence, and more action. By the end of this episode, you will understand why fear feels so strong, how fear stops you, and how one small action can change everything. You will learn how to take control of your life, your dreams, and your learning. And together, step by step, we will explore how to make action stronger than fear. So let's begin this journey. Take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and get ready. This episode of Code Your English is all about learning how to move forward, even when you feel afraid. It is about changing fear into something useful. It is about choosing action, one small step at a time. Let's start. Why we feel fear. Fear is something we all know. Every person on this planet has felt fear, and that includes you, me, and every listener here. But before we learn how to replace fear with action, it is important to understand what fear really is. When we understand something, it becomes less scary. So let's take a few minutes to talk clearly and simply about why we feel fear, where it comes from, and why it sometimes becomes too strong. Fear is a natural feeling. It is part of being human. In fact, fear is one of the oldest feelings in our brain. A long time ago, when humans lived in the wild, fear helped people stay alive. When they saw danger, fear told the body, "Be careful, run, protect yourself." Even today, fear still tries to protect us. It sends a message to our brain and our body. It makes the heart beat faster. It makes the stomach feel tight. It makes our mind say, "Maybe this is not safe." Fear is like a small alarm inside us. Its job is to keep us away from danger. But here is the important part. In modern life, most of the things we fear are not real dangers. We are not facing wild animals or life-threatening situations every day. Instead, many of our fears are emotional fears. They come from our thoughts, our imagination, and our feelings. For example, you may feel fear when you want to speak English in front of others. Your brain says, "What if I make a mistake? What if people laugh? What if I sound strange?" None of these things are real danger. Nobody will harm you if you speak slowly or if you make a mistake. But the brain reacts as if it is dangerous because the fear alarm is very sensitive. Fear can also be useful sometimes. It helps us avoid real danger. It reminds us to look both ways before crossing the street. It tells us not to touch something hot. It warns us when something truly risky is happening. So fear is not a bad thing by itself. It is a natural part of us. But the problem starts when fear becomes too strong, too loud, or too active in situations where we do not need it. When fear becomes too strong, it can stop us from growing. It can stop us from learning. It can stop us from taking steps that could make our lives better. Many people feel fear before speaking English in public. They worry about small mistakes. They worry about being judged. They worry about sounding not perfect. This kind of fear can freeze us. It can make us stop talking, even when we know the answer or have something important to say. Fear can also stop us from applying for a job, meeting new people, or trying a new opportunity. In this way, fear becomes a wall between us and our goals. Another common fear is the fear of failure. Many people are afraid to try something because they think, "What if it doesn't work?" Or, "What if I fail?" But think about this. Every successful person has failed many times. Failure is part of the journey. Fear makes failure look bigger and scarier than it really is. Fear shows us the worst picture, not the real one. And because of that, many of us stop ourselves before we even begin. Sometimes fear also comes from past experiences. If something bad or embarrassing happened before, our brain remembers it. It tries to protect us by saying, "Don't try again, stay safe." But staying safe can also mean staying stuck. And that is why understanding fear is so important. When we see that fear is just a natural response, not a sign that we should stop, we begin to take our power back. The good news is this: fear is not a sign that you cannot do something. Fear is not a sign that you are weak. Fear is not a sign that you are not good enough. Fear simply means your brain is trying to protect you. But we can train the brain. We can guide it. We can teach it that some things are safe, even if they feel scary. We do this with small, gentle, simple actions. So remember this: fear is normal. Fear is natural. Fear is part of being human. But fear should not be the driver of your life. You can understand fear, you can manage fear, and you can act even when fear is present. And that is exactly what we will learn in this episode. Step by step, we will learn how to make fear smaller and action stronger. When you understand why you feel fear, you begin the journey to changing your relationship with it. Now that we understand the roots of fear, we can continue to the next part of our episode, where we explore what happens when fear becomes too strong and how it stops us from moving forward. But more importantly, we will learn how to break that pattern and choose action instead. The cost of staying scared. Now that we understand why we feel fear, let's talk about something very important: what fear costs us when we let it control our lives. Fear is not just a feeling that comes and goes. Fear has a price. When we stay scared, when we listen to fear too much, we lose opportunities, we lose experiences, and sometimes we lose the chance to grow into the person we want to be. So, in this part of the episode, I want to help you see clearly what happens when fear becomes the boss, and we simply follow it. One of the biggest costs of staying scared is missed chances. Every time you feel fear and decide not to act, you miss a moment that could help you move forward. Think about all the times you wanted to speak English with someone, but fear whispered, "Don't talk. You might make a mistake." That moment passes, and you lose the chance to practice. Or maybe you wanted to try for a new job, but fear said, "You are not ready. You are not good enough." So you don't apply, and the job goes to someone else. Moments like these add up, and over time, they become regrets. We look back and think, "I wish I tried. I wish I didn't let fear stop me." These regrets are heavy, and many people carry them for years. Another cost of staying scared is that we don't practice, and when we don't practice, we don't improve. This is especially true for English learners. If you avoid speaking because of fear, your speaking skills grow slowly. If you avoid listening because you feel nervous, your listening skills stay weak. Learning a language is like training a muscle. You need practice to grow stronger. But fear takes away practice time. And without practice, progress becomes slow, and sometimes it stops completely. So fear not only blocks your opportunities, it also blocks your learning. Staying scared also creates stress and pressure inside the body and mind. When you avoid something because of fear, you don't feel safe or relaxed. Instead, you feel heavy. You think about it again and again. You feel nervous, worried, or even ashamed. You might ask yourself, "Why am I scared? Why can't I do this?" These thoughts create more stress. The more you avoid something, the more stressful it becomes in your mind. The problem grows bigger and bigger until even a small task feels like a mountain. This is how fear slowly takes control of your mental and emotional health. Another cost of staying scared is low confidence. Every time you choose fear over action, your confidence goes down a little. It's like telling yourself, "I cannot do this," even if the truth is that you can. Confidence does not grow from thinking positive thoughts alone. Confidence grows through action. When you try something, even if you feel scared, you prove to yourself that you are capable. But when fear wins, your mind learns the opposite. It learns that you cannot handle challenges. Over time, this can make you feel small, weak, or incapable. And that is not true. You are capable. You just need action to show it. Let's look at a few simple real-life examples. Imagine a student who is afraid to answer questions in class because she fears making mistakes. Every day she stays silent. And because she stays silent, the teacher does not know how much she understands. She never practices her speaking. Her classmates become more confident, but she stays at the same level. This is not because she is not smart. It is because fear stopped her from using her voice. Slowly, she begins to believe, "Maybe I am not good at English." But that belief is not real. It is only the result of fear. Or think about someone who wants to start a small business or try a new idea. Fear tells him, "You will fail. People will laugh. It's too risky." So he never starts. Months pass. Years pass. Then one day, he sees someone else doing the same idea successfully. He feels a deep regret. He realizes, "I could have done this." That is the cost of staying scared. Watching opportunities pass by because the fear felt bigger than the dream. Even in small daily moments, fear costs us. We avoid meeting new people so we don't make new friends. We avoid trying new challenges, so life feels the same every day. We avoid speaking up, so people do not hear our ideas. Fear slowly closes the doors around us, and if we do not act, we may one day find ourselves living a smaller life than we deserve. But here is the hopeful part. Once you understand the cost of staying scared, you can choose differently. You can decide that fear will not control your future. You can learn to take small actions even when fear is present. And when you start taking action, even tiny action, you open the doors again. You give yourself chances. You grow your confidence. You lower your stress. You become stronger step by step. So remember this: if you never try, you never learn. If you do not speak, your English will not improve. Fear can make us lose good chances, but action can give us new chances. The cost of staying scared. Now that we understand why fear happens, it is important to talk about something many people do not notice: what fear costs us when we let it control our life. Fear is not just a feeling. Fear is not just a thought. Fear has a price, and sometimes that price is very high. When we stay scared, we lose many things: opportunities, learning moments, confidence, peace, and even happiness. So let's take a deep breath and look carefully at what staying scared really does to us. The first big cost of staying scared is missed chances. Every time we let fear stop us, we miss a door that could help us grow. Maybe you wanted to speak in English class, but fear said, "No, they will judge you." So you stayed silent. That was a chance to learn. Maybe you wanted to ask a question, but fear whispered, "Don't do it. You will look foolish." So you kept quiet. Another chance lost. Maybe you wanted to join an activity, speak to a new person, try for a job, or share your ideas, but fear told you to stay small. When fear wins many times, your life becomes smaller. The world around you becomes smaller. And slowly, you start to collect regrets. Moments when you know you could have tried, but you didn't. Another cost of fear is slow learning. This is especially true for English learners. When you avoid speaking because you are scared, you get less practice. And when you get less practice, your speaking stays weak. The same is true for listening, reading, and writing. If fear keeps you from trying, your progress becomes very slow. Think of learning a language like learning to swim. You cannot learn to swim by watching other people. You must get in the water. In the same way, you cannot learn English only by listening or thinking. You must use it. But fear takes away those moments when you could try. And without trying, your skills cannot grow. Staying scared also creates stress inside your body and mind. When you run away from something because of fear, your mind does not feel calm. Instead, you think about it again and again. You feel nervous, you feel pressure, and sometimes you feel guilty. You ask yourself, why can't I do this? Why am I scared? This creates more stress, and the more you avoid something, the more fear grows. The task becomes bigger in your mind. Even a small thing like saying a sentence in English can feel like a huge problem. Fear makes everything feel heavier than it really is. Another big cost of staying scared is losing your confidence. Confidence does not grow by thinking. Confidence grows by doing. Each time you take action, even small action, your confidence gets stronger. But when you choose fear again and again, your confidence becomes weaker. You start to believe things like, "I am not good at English," or "I cannot speak," or "I always fail." But these thoughts are not true. They are only stories fear tells you. And the more you listen, the more you believe them. Over time, you may begin to think you are not capable, even though you actually are. Fear can make strong people feel weak. Let's look at some simple real-life examples. Imagine someone who has studied English for years but never speaks because of fear. When the teacher asks a question, fear freezes their mouth. When a tourist asks for help, fear blocks their words. When they want to join a conversation, fear says, "What if I make a mistake?" Because of this fear, they get almost no practice. Months pass, years pass. They begin to think their English is bad. But the truth is not that their English is bad. The truth is they never gave themselves a chance to use it. Or imagine someone who wants to travel, meet new people, or explore new opportunities. They dream about it. They think about it. They watch videos about it. But fear always stops them from taking the first small step. They stay in the same place, doing the same things. Life feels safe, but also small. And deep inside, they feel a quiet sadness because they know they could do more, but they let fear decide for them. Even in everyday life, fear costs us small joys. Maybe you want to try a hobby, join a group, or share your opinion. But fear says, "What if you are not good enough?" So you don't try. And because you don't try, you never discover something that might make you happy. Fear can steal happy moments before they even begin. So here is the truth we must accept. If you never try, you never learn. If you do not speak, your English will not improve. If you do not act, your life does not change. Fear can make us lose good chances, but action can bring them back. The cost of staying scared is a life full of waiting, a life full of hesitation, and a life full of possibilities we never explore. But the good news is that it doesn't have to stay that way. You can choose differently. Now that we clearly understand what fear takes away from us, we can move to the most important idea, the idea that can change everything: learning how to replace fear with action. The key idea: replace fear with action. Now that we understand how fear works and what it costs us, it is time to introduce the most important idea in this whole episode. The idea that can change the way you live, learn, and grow. The key idea is simple, but very powerful. Replace fear with action. This means that instead of waiting for fear to go away, instead of hoping to feel brave one day, we learn to take small steps even when fear is there. Many people believe they must feel confident before they act, but the truth is the opposite. Confidence comes after action, not before it. When you act, even in a very small way, fear becomes smaller. When you take a step, your courage becomes stronger. So action is not something extra. It is the main tool to overcome fear. One important thing to remember is that you do not need big, brave actions. You do not need to make a speech in front of 100 people to fight fear. You do not need to start a huge project or change your whole life in one day. What you need is small actions, tiny steps you can take today, right now. Small steps are powerful because they are easier to do. They do not feel overwhelming, and they help you build progress slowly. Even if fear is big, a small action can move you forward. For example, if you are afraid to speak English, you can start with one short sentence today. If you fear trying something new, you can begin by learning about it for 5 minutes. These small steps are like little lights that guide you out of fear. Action is not just movement. Action is a mix of small steps, practice, and kind thinking toward yourself. First, you choose a small step. Then you practice it again and again until it feels easier. And while you practice, you speak kindly to yourself. You say things like, "It is okay to make mistakes," or I am learning, or this step is enough for today. Kind thinking is important because fear grows when we are hard on ourselves. But when we support ourselves with gentle words, fear becomes weaker and action becomes easier. In the next part of the episode, we will follow a simple roadmap that will help you understand how to act even when fear is present. The roadmap has 4 clear steps: prepare, plan, do, reflect, and repeat. When you prepare, you understand your fear and choose a small, easy goal. When you plan, you break the goal into small steps. When you do, you take action, even if the step feels tiny. When you reflect, you look back at what worked and what you learned. And then you repeat the process. This cycle helps you grow stronger and more confident every time. So the message is simple. The key is action. Action is small steps. We plan, we try, we learn, then we try again. This is how we slowly replace fear with strength and movement. And in the next part, we will walk through each of these steps together, one by one, in a clear and simple way. Practical Step 1. Name the fear. When we talk about taking action, the first step is always to understand what is happening inside us. One of the strongest things inside many people is fear. That is why the first practical step is to name the fear. This sounds simple, but it is very powerful. When you name your fear, you take it out of your mind and put it into the light. When it is in the light, it becomes smaller. When it stays hidden, it feels bigger and heavier. So today, we begin by learning how to look at our fear directly, without running away from it. Fear grows when we pretend it is not there. Sometimes we try to ignore it, but ignoring fear only makes it feel stronger. Instead, when we speak it out loud or write it on paper, something interesting happens. It loses some of its power. It becomes clear, specific, and easier to understand. For example, saying, "I am scared," is too general. But saying, "I am afraid of speaking English in front of other people because I think I will make mistakes," gives you a clear picture. You can work with something clear. You cannot work with something vague. Think of this like turning on a light in a dark room. When the room is dark, everything looks scary and confusing. You do not know what is in front of you. But when the light turns on, you see that the shape in the corner was only a chair. Naming your fear turns on that light. It helps you see that your fear is not a monster. It is just a feeling, and feelings can change. So here is a simple exercise you can do right now. If you are in a quiet place, take a few seconds to pause this podcast. Then say your fear out loud in one clear sentence. It could be something like, "I am afraid of speaking English because I think people will judge me." Or maybe, "I am afraid to try because I do not want to fail." Or even, "I am afraid because I have not practiced for a long time." Whatever your fear is, say it. Use your voice. Speak it as clearly as you can. If you do not want to say it out loud, you can also write it down. Take a piece of paper or open a note on your phone and write one simple sentence that describes your fear. Do not write a long story. Do not explain too much. Just write the main idea. One sentence is enough. For example, "My fear is speaking English in front of others." This short sentence becomes the starting point of your growth journey. It is like drawing a small map. You now know where you stand. After naming the fear, take a moment to notice how you feel. You may still feel nervous, and that is okay. The goal is not to remove all fear in one moment. The goal is to make fear visible, so you have something you can work with. When you name your fear, you show yourself that you are stronger than the feeling. You show yourself that you can talk about it, think about it, and eventually change it. This step is simple, but it is not easy. Many people skip it because they think it is too small or too basic. But small steps create big changes, and naming your fear is one of the most important small steps you will ever take. Once you can say, "Yes, this is my fear," you are already moving forward. You are no longer stuck. You are no longer silent. You have started the process of action. So remember, name your fear, either with your voice or your pen. Put it in front of you. Look at it. Accept it. This is the first step to transforming fear into confidence and weakness into strength. Practical step 2. Break it into small parts. When we face a big fear, the problem is not only the fear itself, but also the size of the goal. When a goal feels big, our mind becomes stressed, and taking the first step feels impossible. That is why the second practical step is to break your fear into small parts. When something is small, it feels safe, simple, and possible. Your brain is more willing to try a tiny step than to jump into a big challenge. So instead of trying to overcome the whole fear at once, you learn to take one small step at a time. Many people try to do everything in one day, and then they feel disappointed when they fail. But fear cannot be beaten with one huge action. Fear becomes weaker through many small actions repeated again and again. Think of fear like a tall wall. If you try to break the entire wall with one hit, you will feel defeated. But if you use small tools and you work one brick at a time, the wall becomes lower, smaller, and easier to handle. Breaking fear into small parts is your way of removing one brick at a time. Let's say your big fear is speaking English in front of people. This is a common fear, and many learners feel the same. Instead of trying to give a full speech or talk for 5 minutes on the first day, you divide the task into tiny steps. The first step could be something extremely simple, like saying hello to a classmate, a coworker, or even a stranger at the supermarket. This may feel small, but small is perfect. Small is where confidence is born. After you feel comfortable with the first step, you move to the next one. Maybe the next day, your step is to read one English sentence out loud. Just one sentence, not a paragraph, not a full story. When you do this, you show your brain that speaking is not dangerous. You teach yourself that nothing bad happens when you use your voice. Then the next step can be reading 2 sentences. Later, you can try speaking for 1 minute about a simple topic like your day, your hobby, or your plans. 1 minute is short, but it is enough to make progress. Every time you complete a small step, it is important to celebrate it. Celebration does not mean throwing a party. It can be as simple as smiling at yourself, saying, "Good job," or writing your small win in a notebook. When you celebrate small wins, your brain releases positive energy, and you feel encouraged to continue. This positive feeling is important because it helps you build confidence slowly and naturally. Breaking your fear into small parts also helps you stay consistent. Big goals are scary. Small goals feel friendly. When the task is easy, you do not avoid it. You do not postpone it. You do not say, "I will try tomorrow." Instead, you say, "I can do this now." And the more often you take action, the faster your fear becomes weaker. This is how real growth happens, not with one big move, but with many tiny steps stacked on top of each other. Let yourself remember, that every expert you admire today once began with small steps too. No one starts strong. Everyone starts small. The people who become confident are not the people who never feel fear. They are the people who take small actions even when they feel afraid. So break your big fear into small pieces. Choose one simple action and do it today. Over time, these tiny steps will create a big change inside you. Practical Step 3. Prepare and practice. Once you break your fear into small steps, the next important action is to prepare and practice. Preparation makes a big difference, because when you prepare, your mind feels safer and calmer. Fear grows when something feels new or unknown, but when you practice, the situation becomes familiar. Your brain says, "I know this. I can do this." That is why preparation is not just a small part of success. It is a powerful tool that helps you move from fear to confidence. One of the simplest ways to prepare is to practice in front of a mirror. When you look at yourself while speaking, you learn to be comfortable with your own voice and your own expressions. You can watch how your mouth moves and how your face looks when you say different words. At first, it may feel strange, but after a few times, it becomes normal. Mirror practice is safe because no one is watching you except yourself. It gives you a private space to make mistakes, to fix small problems, and to feel more relaxed. Another useful method is to practice with a friend, a classmate, or a family member. Choose someone kind and supportive. Tell them what you want to practice. It can be something small like introducing yourself, asking a question, or reading a short paragraph. When you practice with another person, you experience real interaction, but in a safe environment. This helps you feel prepared for bigger situations, like speaking in class or talking at work. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to get used to speaking. Using a short script is also helpful. A script is a simple set of sentences that you prepare before speaking. You can write something like, "Hello, my name is Dreeder. Today I want to talk about my hobby." Keep it short and easy. Then practice saying it 5 times. Slowly, clearly, with calm breathing. Repeating a script helps your tongue, voice, and brain work together. After several repeats, you will feel more ready, and your fear will become softer. Scripts give you a guide so you don't feel lost or confused when you speak. Breathing is a very important part of preparation. When we feel afraid, our breath becomes fast and shallow. This makes fear stronger. To calm your mind, practice slow and deep breathing. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and breathe out for 4 seconds. Do this 3 to 5 times before speaking. Slow breathing tells your body, "I am safe." This simple exercise can lower your fear and make your voice steady and strong. Role-playing is another great practice tool. Role-play means acting out a situation before you face it in real life. For example, if you are afraid to order food in English, practice that situation at home. Pretend your friend is the waiter. Practice asking, "Can I have a chicken sandwich, please?" If your fear is talking in a meeting, practice saying a short idea or giving a simple opinion. Role play gives your body and mind a preview of the real moment, so when the moment comes, it feels familiar. Every time you prepare and practice, you are building a small piece of confidence inside you. You are teaching your mind that speaking is safe, that mistakes are normal, and that progress comes with repetition. Preparation does not remove fear completely, but it makes fear smaller and action easier. With every practice session, whether in the mirror, with a friend, or with a script, you are moving one step closer to being confident and brave in real situations. Practical Step 4. Take one brave action. Now that you understand your fear, have broken it into small parts, and have practiced in simple and safe ways, it is time for the most important step, taking one brave action. This step is where real change begins. You don't need to feel fully ready, and you don't need to feel completely confident. You only need to choose one small action and do it today. Fear becomes weaker only when you move. Even a tiny action can make a big difference inside you. Taking a brave action does not mean doing something big, scary, or dramatic. It means choosing a small step that you decided earlier and taking it in real life. Maybe your step is saying hello to one person. Maybe it is reading one short sentence out loud. Maybe it is asking a simple question in English. These actions may seem small, but they are powerful because they teach your mind that you can act even when your heart feels nervous. This is how courage grows, one small action at a time. Before you take your step, you might feel your hands shake. Your heart may beat faster. Your breath may feel short. That is completely normal. Fear always shows up before action. Do not wait for the fear to disappear. Instead, take a deep breath, smile softly, and take the step anyway. Many people think bravery means not feeling afraid, but true bravery means feeling afraid and still moving forward. Courage lives inside your action, not inside your thoughts. When you take your small, brave action, pay attention to what happens afterward. You will notice something important. Most of the time, nothing bad happens. No one laughs. No one gets upset. The world continues normally. And inside you, something special happens. A small feeling of success appears. This feeling may be tiny, but it is real. It is the beginning of your confidence. Celebrate this moment. Say to yourself, I did it. Even if it feels small to others, it is big for you. It is also helpful to reflect for a few seconds after your action. Ask yourself, was it as scary as I imagined? Most people discover that the real experience is much easier than the fear in their mind. Fear exaggerates everything, but action shows the truth. When you act, you learn that you are stronger, braver, and more capable than you believed. Try to take your brave action today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow often becomes later, and later becomes never. When you act today, even in a small way, you break the pattern of waiting. You start a new habit, a habit of moving forward. And each time you repeat this habit, your fear becomes smaller and your confidence grows. So, take a moment. Think of one small step you prepared earlier. Maybe it is speaking one sentence. Maybe it is greeting one person. Maybe it is practicing your script with someone you trust. Whatever it is, choose it and do it today. You don't need perfection. You don't need to feel ready. You only need to act. And remember this simple promise. You can do it. Practical Step 5. Reflect and learn. After you take one brave action, the journey is not finished. There is one more step that helps you grow and improve. Reflect and learn. Reflection means taking a moment to think about what happened, how you felt, and what you learned from the experience. This step is important because it helps you see your progress, understand your challenges, and prepare for your next action. Many people skip this part, but reflection is what turns every small action into real growth. When you reflect, you do not judge yourself. You do not tell yourself, I was bad, or I made too many mistakes. Instead, you look at your action with kindness and curiosity. You ask simple questions like, what went well? Maybe you spoke one sentence clearly. Maybe you smiled. Maybe you tried even though you were nervous. These small successes matter, and noticing them builds your confidence. Awareness of what went well helps your brain understand that you are improving. The next helpful question is, what can I do next time? This is not about finding faults or blaming yourself. It is about planning your next small step. Maybe you want to speak a little louder next time. Maybe you want to add one more sentence. Maybe you want to practice your breathing before you speak. These ideas help you grow gently and steadily. Reflection is not about perfection. Reflection is about direction, moving step by step in the right way. To make reflection easier, you can keep a simple journal. It does not need to be long or beautiful. Just write 1 or 2 lines after each action. You can write something like, "Today I said hello to someone. I felt nervous but proud." Or, "Today I read 1 sentence out loud. Next time I will read 2." A journal helps you remember your progress. On days when you feel discouraged, you can look back and see how far you have come. Those small sentences become a story of your courage. Another important part of reflection is reward. Many people forget to reward themselves, especially for small actions. But rewards are important for your brain. They tell your mind, this action is good. Let's do it again. A reward does not have to be big. It can be something like taking a short break, enjoying a small snack, listening to music you like, or simply saying, "Well done, I tried today." Rewarding yourself makes the journey feel positive and enjoyable. Reflection also teaches you that mistakes are normal. If something did not go perfectly, that does not mean you failed. It means you are learning. Every person who grows makes mistakes. Mistakes show that you are trying something new. When you reflect on a mistake, you can turn it into a lesson. You can say, "Next time, I will take a slow breath first," or "Next time, I will prepare 1 more sentence." In this way, even difficult moments become useful. So after every brave action, take a minute to reflect. Ask what went well. Ask what you want to try next time. Write 1 small line in your notebook. Reward yourself for trying. These steps help you learn from every experience and keep moving forward. Over time, you will see that your confidence becomes stronger, your fear becomes smaller, and your progress becomes clearer. Reflection is the quiet power that helps you grow every single day. Support. Use friends, teachers, and tools. As you work to replace fear with action, it is important to remember one powerful truth. You do not have to do this alone. Many people think they must face every challenge by themselves, but that is not true. Support from others can make your journey easier, faster, and more enjoyable. When you receive help, you feel safer. And when you feel safer, taking action becomes much easier. Asking for support is not a weakness. It is a smart and strong strategy. One good source of support is a practice partner. This can be a friend, a classmate, or even someone from your family. A practice partner gives you someone to speak with, someone who listens, and someone who encourages you. When you practice together, you feel less alone. You learn from each other, and you can laugh at your mistakes together. This makes the experience lighter and more fun. A partner also helps you stay consistent because you both remind each other to practice. Teachers are another helpful resource. You do not need to ask your teacher for something big. You can ask for small tasks, like practicing one sentence, reading a short paragraph, or answering a simple question. Teachers enjoy helping students who want to improve. When you ask for help, you show them that you are trying. And teachers know how to guide you in small steps, so you do not feel overwhelmed. A little support from a teacher can give you confidence for your next brave action. Technology is also a useful tool on this journey. You can use simple apps, podcasts, or short English videos to practice speaking and listening. Many apps allow you to repeat phrases, listen to slow audio, or practice daily exercises. Videos on YouTube or English learning channels can also be helpful because they give you examples of natural English. These tools are available anytime, so you can practice even when you are alone. They help you stay connected to the language and reduce fear by giving you more exposure. Another way to get support is to join a friendly group. This could be an English practice group at your school, a community center, or even an online group. Groups provide a safe space where everyone is learning together. You can hear different accents, learn new words, and see that other people feel the same fear you feel. This makes you realize that you are not the only one, and that feeling nervous is normal. Being part of a group can also give you motivation because you see other people improving, and that inspires you to keep going. Support is not about depending on others to solve your problems. It is about sharing the journey so that it feels lighter. When you have people beside you, friends who practice with you, teachers who guide you, tools that help you learn, and groups that understand you, your fear becomes smaller. Support gives you strength, and strength makes action easier. So remember this: you do not have to climb the mountain alone. Reach out. Ask for help. Use the tools around you. Let people support you. Even a small amount of help can make a big difference in your confidence and your progress. Daily Practice Plan. Now that we have learned the steps to replace fear with action, the next important step is to create a simple daily practice plan. A plan helps you stay consistent and make progress every day. When you do a small action every day, even for a few minutes, it builds your confidence, reduces fear, and slowly transforms your habits. Today, I will guide you through a 7-day practice plan that you can follow easily. Each day has one small task, and the tasks grow slowly, so you feel safe and encouraged. On day 1, start by naming your fear. Take a few minutes to think about the fear that stops you the most. It could be fear of speaking English, fear of making mistakes, or fear of trying something new. Once you identify it, write it down in one sentence. Then choose one small step related to your fear. For example, if your fear is speaking English in class, your small step could be saying hello to a classmate or reading one sentence out loud. Day 1 is about clarity and planning. When you name your fear and choose one step, your mind knows exactly what to do next, and fear becomes smaller because it is no longer hidden. On day 2, focus on practice. Take your small step and spend 5 minutes practicing it. If it is speaking English, practice it in front of a mirror or quietly to yourself. Repeat your sentences slowly and clearly. Practice helps you feel ready and makes the step less scary. At first, you may feel nervous, and that is normal. Remember, preparation is a key part of success. Even a short practice time every day builds habit, and habits reduce fear naturally. Day 3 is about practice with someone else. Ask a friend, family member, or classmate to practice your small step with you. This can be as simple as saying a sentence together or reading a short paragraph. Practicing with a real person is different from practicing alone because it gives you experience with interaction, just like in real life. It also gives encouragement. Your friend can smile, nod, or say, "Good job," and this small support makes your brain feel safe and proud. On day 4, it is time to try your small step in public, in a very small way. You do not need to speak for many minutes or in front of a large group. For example, you could greet one person, ask a short question, or read a sentence quietly in a small group. Doing your action in a real situation is important because this is where fear is strongest. But remember, you prepared and practiced before, so you are ready. Even if you feel nervous, you can take a deep breath and move forward. Each attempt makes fear smaller and confidence stronger. Day 5 focuses on reflection and writing. After taking your small action, take a few minutes to think about your experience. Ask yourself, what went well? And what can I try next time? Then write one line in your notebook about your progress. For example, today I said hello to one person. I felt nervous but proud. Reflection is important because it helps you notice your wins, learn from mistakes, and prepare for your next action. Small reflections make your growth visible and motivating. On day 6, increase your step just a little. You can speak for a few more sentences, read a slightly longer paragraph, or do your action for a few extra minutes. The goal is to stretch yourself gently. You do not need to do something very hard. Small improvements every day build real progress. By increasing your action slightly, your confidence continues to grow and your fear continues to shrink. Finally, on day 7, it is time to celebrate your progress. Look back at all the small steps you took during the week. Even tiny wins are important. Celebrate by saying, "I did it," or giving yourself a small treat, or simply smiling and feeling proud. Then, take a moment to plan for next week. Think about one new small step or a slight challenge to continue your growth. Celebration and planning together make your practice consistent, enjoyable, and motivating. Using this 7-day plan is simple but powerful. Each day you take a small action, practice, or reflect, you are replacing fear with action. By the end of the week, you will notice that your fear feels smaller, your confidence feels stronger, and your habit of taking action is beginning to form. This plan is not about perfection, it is about small steps repeated daily. Even if you miss one day, you can start again tomorrow. Consistency matters more than speed. Remember, every big achievement starts with tiny steps. 1 week of focused practice can make a difference in your courage, skills, and confidence. Keep going. Keep practicing. And slowly, week by week, action will replace fear in your life. Short, real story. To make everything we have learned more real, let me share a short story about someone who faced fear and overcame it step by step. This story is simple, but it shows how powerful small actions can be. Listening to stories like this helps you understand that fear is normal, growth is possible, and change happens slowly but surely. Ahmed is a young student. He loved learning English, but he was very afraid to speak in front of his class. Every time the teacher asked a question, his heart beat fast. He stayed quiet, even when he knew the answer. Ahmed wanted to speak, But fear stopped him. He worried that other students would laugh or that he would make mistakes. This fear made him feel nervous and frustrated. He wanted to improve, but he did not know where to start. One day, Ahmed decided to take one small step. He remembered a tip he learned: start small, name your fear, and practice. Ahmed's first step was very simple. He told his best friend about his fear and practiced saying one sentence in English. The sentence was easy. "My name is Ahmed. I like reading books." At first, his voice shook, and he felt nervous, but he repeated it 5 times. He even practiced in front of a mirror. After this short practice, he felt a little braver. This first step was small, but it gave him courage. The next day, Ahmed tried a slightly bigger step. He raised his hand in class and read one sentence aloud. It was not a long speech, only one sentence. Some classmates listened quietly, and the teacher smiled and encouraged him. Ahmed felt proud of himself. He realized that speaking in front of the class was not as scary as he imagined. His small step had started to reduce his fear. After a few days, Ahmed continued with small actions. He practiced with a friend, repeated sentences in front of the mirror, and prepared a short paragraph to read in class. Slowly, he increased the difficulty. He spoke for 1 minute, then 2 minutes, and sometimes even answered simple questions from the teacher. Each small action made him more confident. Each tiny success gave him courage to try the next step. After 1 month, Ahmed noticed a big change. He was no longer afraid to speak in class. He could answer questions, read short paragraphs, and even share his ideas in English. His classmates listened, and sometimes they asked questions to him. Ahmed realized that small steps had created big growth. He did not start with a full speech or a long presentation. He started with one sentence, then another, and another. Each step was small, but together they led to real change. Ahmed's story shows a very important lesson. Fear does not disappear instantly. Courage does not appear in one moment. Growth happens slowly, step by step. When you take small actions, practice, and reflect, fear becomes smaller, and confidence becomes stronger. Ahmed's journey teaches us that anyone can improve, no matter how strong their fear is, if they are willing to start with a small step. Remember, your journey can be like Ahmed's story. Start small, practice often, take one brave action at a time, and reflect on your success. Each small step adds up. Over time, you will feel braver, more confident, and able to face fears you never thought you could. Small steps are the real secret to replacing fear with action. How to keep going. Long term. Once you have learned to take small steps and replace fear with action, the next challenge is keeping your progress over a long time. Many people start with energy and motivation, but after a few days or weeks, they feel tired, discouraged, or busy. This is normal. Real change does not happen in one day. It happens slowly, step by step, when you continue your practice over time. The key is to make lasting habits and to be patient with yourself. One of the most important ways to keep going is to keep small daily goals. Do not try to achieve everything at once. Even 5 or 10 minutes of focused practice every day is enough to create real change. Small goals are easier to manage, and completing them gives you a sense of success. For example, if your goal is to speak English without fear, you can start by reading one sentence, practicing with a friend, or taking one small brave action each day. These small steps may seem simple, but they add up over time. Patience is another important part of long-term progress. Many people expect quick results and feel disappointed when change is slow, but progress is often invisible at first. You may not notice improvement day by day, but if you continue, the results will appear. Your confidence will grow, your fear will shrink, and your skills will improve. Remember, slow but steady progress lasts longer than fast, temporary change. Be kind to yourself and celebrate every small win, even if it feels tiny. Using reminders and rewards can help you stay consistent. You can set a phone alarm, a calendar reminder, or a sticky note to remind yourself to practice each day. Rewards, even small ones, make your mind feel positive about practice. For example, after completing a short exercise, you can take a short break, enjoy a snack, or write a note saying, "Well done." These small positive reinforcements help your brain connect action with good feelings. When practice feels rewarding, it becomes easier to keep doing it. It is also important to expect setbacks. Some days you may feel too tired, nervous, or distracted to practice. Some days you may try an action, and it does not go well. This is normal. Everyone faces obstacles. The key is not to give up. When you have a bad day, do not be hard on yourself. Simply start again the next day. A missed day does not erase your progress. Long-term success is about consistency, not perfection. Keep returning to your small actions, and you will continue to grow. Finally, remind yourself of your purpose. Why are you working to replace fear with action? Maybe it is to speak English confidently, to share your ideas, or to try something new in life. When you remember your why, it becomes easier to stay motivated even when progress feels slow. Writing down your goals or keeping a journal of small victories can help you see your journey over time. Looking back, you will realize how much you have grown, and that will inspire you to continue. In summary, long-term success comes from small daily goals, patience, reminders, rewards, and understanding that setbacks are normal. Change does not happen overnight, but it happens every day when you act, reflect, and repeat. Even if progress feels slow, every step matters. Keep going, keep trying, and continue building your courage and confidence day by day. Over time, these small, consistent steps will create real, lasting change in your life. Now that we have learned many ideas and steps in this episode, it is time to recap everything so you can remember the main points. Recap is very important because it helps your brain keep the information clearly. Today, we focused on how to replace fear with action. Fear can stop us from trying new things, speaking English, or sharing our ideas. But by using small steps, practice, and reflection, we can reduce fear and build confidence. Let's go over the main steps. One more time. The first step is to name the fear. Fear becomes smaller when we identify it clearly. Say it out loud, or write it down in one sentence. For example, I am afraid to speak English in front of my class. Naming your fear helps you see it, instead of letting it stay in your mind and grow bigger. When you can see your fear clearly, you start to control it. This simple step is the foundation for everything else we do. The second step is to break the fear into small steps. Big fears feel impossible, and that makes us freeze. But when we divide the fear into tiny, manageable actions, it becomes easier. For example, if your fear is speaking in class, your first small step could be saying hello to one person. Then you might read one sentence. Later, speak for 1 minute. Small steps are easier to do and build your confidence gradually. Each small action is a success. The third step is to prepare and practice. Preparation makes action easier because your brain and body feel ready. You can practice in front of a mirror, with a friend, or using a short script. Repeat your sentences slowly, breathe deeply, and role-play simple situations. Practicing helps you feel more comfortable, reduces nerves, and makes your small step easier to do in real life. Practice is the bridge between fear and action. The fourth step is to take one brave action. This is the moment when you actually do something in real life. Remember, the action does not need to be big. It can be a tiny step, like saying one sentence, reading a short paragraph, or asking one simple question. Feeling nervous is normal. The key is to act even when you are afraid. After the action, notice the small success and feel proud. Each brave action makes your confidence stronger and fear weaker. The fifth step is to reflect and repeat. After you act, think about what went well and what you can try next. Write one line in your notebook. Reward yourself for trying, even if it was a small step. Reflection helps you learn from each experience, and repeating the cycle allows you to grow continuously. Over time, your small steps become bigger, and your confidence builds naturally. Reflection turns each action into real progress. In addition to these 5 steps, remember that support from friends, teachers, or tools makes the journey easier. Daily practice, small goals, patience, and expecting setbacks are also important for long-term success. Real change does not happen in one day, but when you act consistently and reflect often, fear becomes smaller and confidence grows steadily. So, to summarize in a simple way, name your fear, break it into small steps, prepare and practice. Take one brave action, reflect and repeat. Do this again and again. Each time you follow these steps, you become braver, more confident, and more capable. Fear does not disappear completely, but action makes it smaller and weaker. If you practice these steps regularly, you can face your fears, try new things, and grow every day. Remember, small steps matter more than big leaps. Courage is built by doing something even when you are scared. So keep practicing, keep acting, and keep reflecting. Over time, action will replace fear in your life. We have reached the end of today's episode, and I want to thank you for listening carefully. It is not easy to face your fears, even when you are learning something new like English. By taking the time to listen, you are already showing courage. You are learning how to act, even when fear is present. Every small step you take makes a difference, and today you have learned practical steps to replace fear with action. Remember, courage grows slowly, step by step, with practice and reflection. Now, I want to give you a simple challenge to try after listening to this episode. Choose one small step from the steps we discussed today. It could be something very simple, like saying hello to one person, reading one sentence out loud, or practicing a short script in front of a mirror. The goal is not perfection. The goal is action. Take this small step today and notice how it feels. Pay attention to your courage and your feelings after doing it. Even tiny actions are victories, and each one builds confidence and reduces fear. After you complete your step, I encourage you to share your experience. You can write a short comment, note it in a journal, or even tell a friend about your success. Sharing your progress is motivating because it reminds you that every small action matters. It also inspires others to take their own steps, creating a positive circle of learning and growth. Small actions and small successes, repeated daily, are what change your life over time. Finally, I invite you to practice more episodes of this podcast. You can listen again to today's episode, repeat the lines aloud, and follow the steps again. Repetition is very powerful when you are learning English and building confidence. Each time you listen and act, your skills improve, your fear becomes smaller, and your courage grows. Think of this podcast as a friend who guides you step by step toward bravery, confidence, and progress. Thank you once again for listening to Code Your English. Remember, today's challenge is simple. Pick one small step and do it now. Take a deep breath, act, and notice your success. Share your step with us and celebrate even the smallest win. Keep practicing, keep acting, and keep moving forward. Fear will not disappear completely, but your actions will make it smaller and weaker each day. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, remember this. Keep acting, not waiting. Every small step counts. Every attempt matters. You have the courage inside you. Today, take one action and begin your journey of growth. Your fear is temporary, but your actions can last a lifetime.